That much-awaited debate between President Duterte and retired Associate Justice Antonio Carpio will not be seeing the light of day after the chief executive backed out of his own challenge. And while the palace spokesman offered to take up the cudgels for the president, Carpio says it's useless to engage on the proposed topics. Inbound travelers will now be swabbed on their 7th day of quarantine upon arrival. The IATF approval comes on the back of the Health Department concurring that COVID-19 test results would be more accurate by then. A container vessel from India carrying Filipino seafarers has arrived in the country for medical help after 12 crew members tested positive for COVID-19. Latest SWS survey shows that 4 in 10 non-home-based Filipino workers find traveling to work very much harder as compared to pre-pandemic times. And in lighter news, a bottle of French wine that was aged in space for more than a year is up for sale. Focused and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. President Duterte has backed out of his challenge to retired Associate Justice Antonio Carpio to debate on matters in the West Philippine Sea. Carpio says he will not take on a useless face-off with designated Representative Palace spokesman Harry Roque if it means that they have to change the bone of contention. The back and forth in this report by Maricel Halili.
Itong Supreme Court Justice, pareho man tayo abogado. Gusto mo magdebate tayo. Madalawa, tatlong tanong lang ako.
That was President Duterte's challenge to retired Associate Justice Antonio Carpio 2 days ago. But after Carpio accepted the dare, Duterte backed out. The chief executive and the magistrate were supposed to face off on issues surrounding the West Philippine Sea. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque said Duterte's decision was based on the advice of his cabinet.
Bakit papayag sa debate? Nakaupong presidente naman si Presidente Duterte at si Antonio Carpio po, Attorney Antonio Carpio, bagamat siya ay dating mahisrado, ay ordinaryong mga abogado na ngayon. Parang hindi naman po atatabla, no, na ang Office of the President, na presidente mismo ay harap sa isang ordinaryong mambabatas.
Roque also argued that whatever the president says could affect public policy and may be covered by executive privilege. With that being said, he offered to take Duterte's place. Roque added that the retired justice may also tap former Foreign Affairs Chief Albert Del Rosario to go against him. But on one condition. He said their discourse will be limited to particular issues on the table.
Pero ang pagdidebatihan po malinaw. Unang-una, sino ang responsable sa pagkawala ng teritoryo ng Pilipinas? Si Presidente Duterte ba o ang ibang administrasyon? Pangalawa, tama ba ang sinasabi ni Antonio Carpio na binaliwala ni Presidente ang panalo natin doon sa Hague Tribunal? At kung gusto niya, pangatlo, tama ba po na namimigay ng teritoryo ang Presidente Duterte?
But Carpio said he will not argue about issues without factual dispute, such as those mentioned by Roque, because he does not want to engage in a useless exercise that will only detract the public interest. The magistrate noted, however, that he is ready to debate with Duterte or anyone he may designate on adverse legal implications of the president's claim that, quote, China is in possession of the West Philippine Sea. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
Incoming passengers will now be tested for COVID-19 7 days after arrival. The IATF heeded the call of the Health Department to prolong the waiting time so that swab test results will be more accurate. The task force has also allowed those aged 15 to 17, as well those above 65 years old, to go outside their homes, but only to complete registrations for the national ID system. On top of that, the IATF likewise approved the request of Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas to host the third window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers in Clark, Pampanga. Malacanang also announced that scrimmages and training sessions of PBA teams are now permitted in places under GCQ and MGCQ status. Still in sports, the IATF greenlit a no-audience setup for horse racing activities in areas under MECQ. We're pausing for a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Stay tuned. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. 12 Filipino seafarers who had been to India have tested positive for COVID-19 and are currently near Sangli Point in Cavite. Gerard de la Peña is on the phone to give us more details. Hi, Gerard. What do you have for us?
Well, Sean, the Philippine Coast Guard has provided us with footages that show personnel bringing oxygen tanks to MV Athens Bridge. Other clips showed personnel fetching 2 members of the ship crew who were said to be in critical condition because of COVID-19. Information from the Maritime Industry Authority or Marina indicated that the MV Athens Bridge traveled from China down to Vietnam, Singapore, and Malaysia before reaching 2 ports in India earlier in April. The ship was sailing back to Vietnam when it was discovered that 12 of the 21 members of the all-Filipino crew contracted the virus, with 2 in critical state. MV Athens Bridge was on the way to the Philippines when the government issued a travel ban on those with travel history in India. Marina Deputy Administrator Captain Jeffrey Solon said it's possible that the crew got the virus in India. The ship is currently anchored close to Sangli Point in Cavite, which is about 15 kilometers from Manila. Authorities said the ship is isolated such that unauthorized sea vessels won't be able to approach it. Marina said the manning agency is shouldering all expenses and is covering all the needs of those aboard the ship. The Bureau of Quarantine will decide on the subsequent steps to be taken in case another vessel encounters the same situation. Sean, this is a new information that just came in. The Marina said that 10 of those aboard the ship right now were transferred to a quarantine hotel facility. Sean.
All right, thank you so much for that update and stay safe out there. That was News 5's Gerard de la Peña reporting to us over the phone. Moving on now to other stories we're keeping our eyes on. Newly minted PNP Chief Guillermo Eleazar formally assumed his post at the change of command ceremony in Camp Crame earlier today. Eleazar warned erring cops that he will not hesitate to remove them as they taint the image of the police force. This comes as the new PNP chief launched his intensified cleanliness policy, which aims to maintain tidy offices as well as internal cleansing. 42% of employees who physically report to work said that going to the workplace nowadays is very much harder compared to pre-pandemic times. According to a social weather station survey, 44% of them go to work by walking, making it the most common means of getting to work under the pandemic. The Commission on Elections will be doing a trial run of a mobile app voting system for overseas Filipinos. COMELEC Commissioner Rowena Guanzon told Agenda that tests will start in June. The COMELEC will coordinate with the Foreign Affairs Department for the trial run. And for some light news, a bottle of Petros 2000 red wine, which spent 14 months maturing in space, could go for around $1 million. The bottle is one of the 12 sent to the International Space Station back in 2019 as part of an experiment on how plants adapt to conditions in space. The bottles of Petros returned in January this year after more than 400 days. Experts say that there was no significant difference in taste, but the bottles that were sent to space matured more quickly than the ones here on Earth. Auction house Christie said that the buyer will also receive a standard bottle for comparison and a corkscrew made from a meteorite. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.